Do you want to be a songwriter but you're finding it difficult? Hopefully with these top 5 tips, it'll help you if you're struggling with where to start. So tip number 1, get competent at least one instrument. You don't need to be Jimi Hendrix or anything. You just need some basic knowledge of at least one instrument, because that's going to train your ear in a way that without being able to play any music you probably wouldn't understand fully. So if you don't play an instrument yet, or you're not sure with what would be a good one to learn, I would recommend starting with piano. I'm completely biased because that's the best instrument there is. It's the easiest instrument to visualize music theory from, whereas like sometimes it's more difficult with guitar and like the tunings of a lot of instruments, but piano is a good one to learn with, and also it keeps your mouth free so you can sing as well. So if you want to be a songwriter writing music, you don't have to be able to sing well, but just be able to hold a tune. So learn an instrument, preferably piano. Guitar's also fine. So point number 2 is learn some music theory. So similar to the first tip, you don't need music theory to be able to write music, but it's going to make the process so much easier coming up with new things that you just instinctively know will work. All you need to really learn to get started is learn about chords, the notes that go into making up those chords, and the functions of those chords. If you can learn those things, you'll automatically know what progressions would sound good, what notes could go into a melody over the top of that progression, which notes can be sung at the same time, and it would really just make the whole process a lot easier. You can take music grades if you want to. I personally never have because I don't feel I've ever needed to, but just learning those little things like which chords can resolve to other chords nicely. So tip number 3 is put aside time for songwriting. This one sounds really obvious, but the more you practice something, the better you'll get at it, and this applies to music theory 1,000,000,000%. I'm not very good at maths. This one is really obvious, but honestly, if you put more time into your songwriting, you will get more from it, I promise you. Don't be afraid to try new stuff as well. Lots of people feel the need that they have to write something good to start writing. Even like artists that you probably like, they might have 5 okay-ish songs for every good song. There's 100 songs for every masterpiece of a song. It's okay to write bad stuff. Everyone writes bad stuff, and nothing starts off amazingly. When we listen to someone's music and we think, wow, that's amazing, we're only seeing the end result. We're not seeing the time it took, patience it took, and the craft to actually create something like that. We just see the end result and we're like, wow, that's amazing. I could never do that. You could do that. You could do that with enough time, with enough dedication. You genuinely could do it as well. So write lots of music, and over time, you'll feel your mind running clearer, and you'll be able to articulate thoughts so much easier than when you first start. I'm not an amazing songwriter or anything like that, but when I first started writing, I was so hyper-focused on trying to make everything good and hating whatever I wrote instantly, and that was just the wrong mindset to have going into it. It's completely different the way I write now. I switch off and I write now. It's a completely different mindset to get in. Like, if you can just kind of relax, don't think too much about it, and just create something. Tip number 4 is get some songwriting software. This one I had no idea would be as helpful as it was for me. If you're like brand new, beginner to songwriting, maybe you don't need to run off and buy software yet, but if you're at that stage where you're writing music regularly and you want to like keep track of all your songs, I would recommend getting somewhere to put them. I found for me personally, it made the writing process so much faster, so much more efficient, and it made me want to write more because there was less hurdles in the way. Writing stuff and then you're constantly editing it, and it can get a bit frustrating when working on paper sometimes. This video isn't sponsored by anyone, but I have been using Songcraft. I'll put them here now, and I'll leave a link in the description below. They seem to work absolutely fine for me. You can do your research, and there's probably other great ones out there as well. But yeah, so if seagulls. But the seagulls! So point number 4, if you can afford it and you're at that stage, get some music software. It will really improve your workflow. That moves me on to tip number 5. Try and finish a song in a sitting, or at least finish a section of a song in a sitting. So to be honest with you, this one can really go either way. Some of my favourite songs I've written have been done over a period of a few weeks, and I've been going away from them, coming back, slowly writing another verse, going away, coming back, and adding more on them bit by bit. But in general, that's not my preferred way of writing. For me, if I haven't written a substantial amount of a song, i.e. like a verse and a chorus, the inspiration will go. I won't be in the same headspace, and the line of thought that I was on with the song is completely gone because I didn't do it at the time. So obviously I know life happens and sometimes it's hard to find the time to actually finish something. If you've been writing for a couple hours and you've got stuff to do, sometimes life gets in the way of that. But if you can, try and put the time to at least finish a good amount of your song. That way when you return to it, you'll know where you were in the song and you're much more likely to have somewhere to take the song that's on the same thought process. So if you can just write the chord progression, the basic tune and some lyrics, that's all you need to kind of hold that mental note of the song. And for me especially, when I come back to a song and I've already got like a verse and a chorus, and I'll listen to it back when I'm going into the next part of the writing, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking at the time. That way you should find that there's enough life in the song to sustain the next part of the writing process. Okay guys, that was 5 tips on songwriting. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and thanks for watching.
Of my heart, and put them back up on the shelf. I could kick into motion